right? As opposed to when I bring my head in front, he can't chase me. I can also use this as a means to flatten his shoulders. If I was just here, I'm not doing anything. So if we just move a little bit. If you can see here, I'm not doing anything to flatten his shoulders. As opposed to when I keep my head here, now there's a legitimate threat of me putting him flat to his back. And now I can start looking to threaten a pin as I start looking to move in this direction. So at a more realistic speed, here's this 2-on-1, we can start looking to play with this. And from here, the reason I do this is to make it hard for him to heist. If I didn't have this at all, it's an easy single leg for him. But because my head's in front and I'm almost pulling on the shoulder to get a rotation at the hip, it makes it much tougher for him. And from here, we can start looking to get to good angles. And the same thing with the back step. And this is really based on our relative body positionings. And we don't necessarily have to drive in with weight, because if we commit in with weight, we put ourselves at a little bit more risk. So I like playing like almost from a further distance from here, right? So I take this back step, right? And from here, because I didn't drive in, maybe if I drove in, there's a risk of back exposure. I like to play from a little bit of height. So this is a really nice way to think about dealing with these grips. And we'll go over this similar idea with alternative grips, but just want to introduce this. Okay, so now we're going to be going over how we were going to look to address our opponent's arm drag. So let's first make the distinction between two types of arm drags that we may encounter, a straight drag and a cross drag. So a cross drag is the more classical arm drag that you're more likely to see, where he's bringing my hand across his body and looking to expose my back. And from here, he's not moving my weight as much as he is looking to gain an angle. Versus a straight drag, if you do it on this side, this is where he keeps the hand on the same side and he's almost pushing my wrist backwards. And now this is more a means to move my weight as opposed to gaining an angle. So what he's generally going to look to do from here is to get my hand to post. And this is a very common entry for a shoulder crunch and pinch headlock. So fold his right hip, right? And so this is often how he's going to look to attack this, or possible leg entries. So we're going to have to address these things separately. And similar to what we were saying with the 2-on-1, the tightness of the elbows is going to affect the grip to some degree. With the straight drag, it changes a little bit. But for example, with the arm drag, right? He has a strong arm drag, but his elbows are super tight. It's going to be hard for me to look to break these grips and face him. Versus if they were a little bit more from range and his elbows are tight, like a little bit looser, right? You still get a good drag. Like from here, it's going to be much easier for me to look to address this grip and start moving in certain directions, right? From here, even if I strip this grip, right, I can start looking to pull my hand to the inside, etc., pulling in for underhooks. So we'll first address the situation where his elbows are loose, tight, and then we'll go into the straight drag. So we're starting with the cross drag. When his elbows are loose from here, I can start looking to move my body, but I find a lot of times this is unnecessary, as it's going to be much easier for me to start looking to break a grip, just because it's something I can do a lot quicker. From here, we can start looking to play at the elbow and possibly start looking to get to some degree of like side body lock off balance, as well as pummeling our hand to the inside of his elbow and start looking to dive in for an underhook. So this is often what I'll favor, since it's very conducive to me start looking to go into tripod passes. Because once I get one underhook, I put my head to the opposite side and I can drive his back to the mat. And because he's seated, his upper body is going to be close to my own. So it's very conducive to pinning his shoulders and playing from there. So this is probably one of my favorite options, where I can pummel this out and I pummel my hand in. So this is generally how I look to approach a situation with loose elbows. When their elbows become more tight, right? Now it's going to be more relying on negation of grips. So similar thing to we were talking about with the 2-on-1. I'm not going to just drive in here and look to strip the grips. I'm going to regain head position. So I'm going to look to just move away a little bit, enough to get my head in front of his. Ideally, circle. Ideally, I want to play with my head in front of his shoulders, but so long as I'm in front of his head, now he's no longer able to actually get behind me. If we were ear to ear, he's still able to get behind me. But because I'm pointing into the side of his head, now when he looks to try to get behind, at this angle, it's difficult. Now we can start looking to switch our knees and cut into a stronger angle. And from here, we even, especially when we regain head position, right, we actually have the possibility of looking for a redrag to some degree. It is going to be hard, especially when he's tight and he has a good angle, to gain head position, because his ear is going to be glued tight. So a lot of times we're going to have to use some degree of movement to get this. It's important that we don't let him get control of the hip, because this is going to make it very easy for him to follow. So I recommend, let's move here. You see that? If you feel this grip on the hip, to make sure this is stripped. So something I like to do in terms of preventative measures is just keeping this relatively tight. So now when he looks to make this grip, it's not going to have as great of a purchase. I can start looking to knee slide out. And now as he chases me, there's space for me to get my head in front and start looking to do this. I do think that he is in an advantageous position from here, but because we have a mobility advantage over him, since we are like kneeling / standing over his seated position, this can still work very well for us. And something, now we'll discuss actually a straight drag. Straight drag I find is often, for me at least, more problematic compared to the cross drag. I feel much more comfortable dealing with back exposure as opposed to when they're really getting extension in my body, forcing me to post, it can be more difficult. So one way I really like to deal with this is instead of always necessarily just trying to pull away, because this is basically just going to feed into what he's doing, the main way I like to do this, and this is more of, it's a bit of both, where we're negating the grip by moving our body, but also stripping this wrist grip. So I'm going to start looking to move to my side and step my knee over his forearm. And so I'm almost stepping this leg up. And this does put me in a position where I'm a little bit more susceptible to leg entries. Right, he can start looking to pull into my leg. But once again, we're trying to do this in a timely manner. So I'm using this to make it hard for him to pull me initially. And I'm going to cover distance with a knee drop. Or I can start looking to get my knee above his forearm, and I can start looking to pull my hand out. And from here, we can go into similar things where now we've cut an angle, we can start shooting this arm across his body and start looking to pin him. The likelihood is this isn't going to happen. He's probably going to regard off of this, right? I'm pulling. He's going to regard, but we've managed to strip his grip, and now we have an opportunity to get into an offensive cycle. So as much as dealing with a straight drag, this is usually what I'm going to be doing in terms of, it's almost a combination of these two. In terms of like looking to strip the grip, I really don't think this is very easy. So he's pushing and pulling. I think it's going to be hard for me because my hand is weighted. So it's going to be hard for me actually look to strip the grip. Like even this type of stuff, I think it's very unrealistic, and it's going to just give him my leg. If you do feel comfortable and you feel like this is difficult, I would encourage just giving the leg, depending on the caliber of opponent and their skill set. So this is generally how I like to approach dealing with the arm drag. Again, this is kind of broad, not too specific, but trying to introduce a lot of ideas that I find very useful for myself and some ways